Welcome students to our next video dealing with leaves, and here we are looking at venation. So what exactly is venation? Venation is the arrangement of veins and veinlets, that is small branches of veins on the lamina. Lamina basically denotes the broad portion of a leaf. That's the most important portion of the leaf because most of the photosynthesis happens there. So venation it looks at the arrangement of veins and veinlets on the lamina of a leaf. That's the broad part of a leaf, and we can see that there are different patterns, something like going parallel, something like branching out. There are cases in which the veinlets are forming networks. So there are different patterns, and we'll be looking at the divisions based on this kind of patterns. So one question before going into the different patterns of venation is what is the function of veins and veinlets? Basically, veinlets and vein, that is the vascular tissues, the basic important function is the conduction of water and minerals. So that's their function. Now let's have a detailed look at each kind of venation, and we start with reticulate venation, and the other types are parallel, and the third type is Furcate. We begin with reticulate venation, and the word itself indicates what is the importance, the key difference of this kind of venation. That is the veinlets, that is the small veins or the branches of veins, form reticulum, that is network. So if you look at reticulate leaves, you can see that the veinlets are forming network like patterns, networks on the blade, on the lamina of the leaf, on the broad part of the leaf. So that's a important point about reticulate venation, and such venation is usually found in dicots. But even though that's the case, there are cases in monocots which have reticulate venation, like calophyllum and corymbium. So note that point: calophyllum, corymbium, two monocots which show reticulate venation. So that's an important point. Now reticulate venation itself is divided into two types, and we'll be looking at the particulars of each type. Reticulate, the subdivision is pinnate or unicostate, and the second subdivision is palmate or multicostate. And we'll be beginning with pinnate. So pinnate is in a manner a standard case in the sense that it's seen in a lot of cases. So pinnate, from the diagram itself, we can get an understanding of what we are dealing with. So you have the typical broad leaf structure on the lamina, very conspicuous, and it's very clear. The network in the lamina, in the broad part of the leaf, is very clear, and which means that the leaf has a single midrib, and there are a lot of lateral veins which themselves goes into a reticulate pattern. So that's a key point. That's a key point about pinnate or unicostate venation, which comes under reticulate venation. And important examples of this kind of venation, the pinnate or unicostate, is people. There is a Ficus religiosa and hibiscus. There is the botanical name is Hibiscus rosa sinensis. So once again, note the point: a broad leaf, a typical leaf, we have the midrib, and we have the lateral veins which branches into a kind of network pattern throughout the lamina of the leaf. So that's a key point about pinnate or unicostate venation, which comes under reticulate venation. Now going into palmate or multicostate venation, here the prominent or the principal vein arises from the tip of the petiole, and that vein reaches either the margins or the apex of the lamina. So basically, from the petiole, that's a part which connects the leaf to the stem. So from the petiole, we have an principal means we have a very important unique important single vein coming out, and that it reaches the margins. So that's a key point. So once again, palmate or multicostate, or the prominent or principal vein arises from the tip of the petiole and reaches either the margins or the apex, that's the tip of the leaf blade or the lamina. Now we have a diagram which shows a typical case of palmate or multicostate. You can see that there are multiple veins coming from the petiole, from the tip of the petiole, and going up. In this case, in the case where the case of the diagram which is depicted here, we have the tips, I mean the vein tips reaching the apex, reaching the tip of the lamina on the leaf blade. Now interestingly, the palmate or multicostate has further subdivisions. So that's what we are going to look into just now. And palmate, multicostate, further subdivisions are convergent and divergent. And the terminology itself is explanatory. So convergent means you have the principal veins which converge at the apex. That is, you could be having multiple principal veins coming from the tip of the petiole. All of them go and converge, something like reach a common point, and that common point is the apex or the tip of the lamina, the tip of the leaf blade. So the principal veins converge at the apex, that is convergent. An opposite kind of development where the principal veins diverge towards the margin, that is the margins of the leaf, the margins of the leaf blade, the margins of the lamina, that's what is called divergent. So the example which was shown on the beginning of the palmate case, which is already existing in this particular video, that is the roundish shaped leaf, which you can see on the top. That is a example of a convergent, and such two notable examples are Sisyphus and Smilax. And the second diagram, which is now coming up towards the bottom, that is an example of a case which is divergent. So you can see that the principal veins are diverging, and instead of reaching the tips, it's going towards the margin. So notable examples are castor, luffa, and grape. Now going on to the second major kind of venation which we mentioned in the beginning of this video, that's the parallel venation. Once again, the wording is explanatory, self-explanatory. Parallel means the veins, the principal veins, multiple principal veins, they are parallel to each other. So the veins run parallel to each other. That's a key point, and which implies that in parallel venation there's no chance of a vein development in the sense forming a network. So a reticulation or a network of veins, that kind of development is not seen in parallel venation. Network is not seen in the leaf blade or the lamina as far as parallel venation is concerned. And here such leaves are seen in the case of monocots. Once again, there are exceptions, which means that dicots also show parallel venation. three notable examples are smilax, colocasia, and alocasia. So note that point, these three are dicots which show parallel venation. Now, as in the case of reticulate venation, we have subdivisions for parallel venation also, and the subdivisions are two, that is pinnate or unicostate and palmate or multicostate. So, interestingly, the subdivisions are in tune with the kind of development we discussed about reticulate, in the sense that pinnate unicostate subdivision of parallel means that you have a midrib and parallel, the lateral veins are parallel, and in the case of palmate or multicostate, the parallel veins arise from the base. So that's a key point. So pinnate, a case where the parallel veins are there, but they are lateral. The veins are lateral and they are parallel to each other. So a very notable case of pinnate or unicostate venation which comes under parallel venation is the leaf of banana, that is Musa paradisca. So the banana leaf is a nice and very clear example of pinnate or unicostate venation. So you can see that there are a lot of lateral veins coming out from the midrib, and all those lateral veins are parallel to each other. Now, what about palmate? Palmate, interestingly, has two subdivisions which are quite self-explanatory, and is convergent and divergent. Naturally, palmate or multicostate means we have multiple parallel veins arising from the base, and if these veins converge at the apex, so reach towards the tip of the leaf, blade or lamina, and converge there, it's convergent. And if they are not converging but going towards the margins, then that case is naturally divergent. So first let's have a look at an example of convergent under parallel venation. So convergent, a very notable and clear example is the leaf of bamboo. Divergent, we have the fan palm or Levistonia. So fan palm, you can see that the veins are parallel. They arise from the base, but they are diverging towards the margin. So that's a key point. Going on to the last subdivision, the last division under venation, that is the Furcate venation. So here we have the veins which are branching dichotomously. So that's a key point. We have the veins branch dichotomously, and interestingly, in this example, the finer branches don't form a reticulum or network. So the finer branches don't form a reticulum. That's a key point. And such venation, Furcate venation, is usually seen among ferns, and a very good notable example is adiantum. And we can see that it's a kind of there isn't a definite shape like thing. It's something like fanning out, and there's a common stalk, a common attachment to the stem. So the example is adiantum, and interestingly, in the case of so we told that it's a case of ferns, but there's an interesting case of a higher plant having a Furcate venation, that is Cister. So that's about venation, and the next video in the leaf series we'll be looking at compound leaves. It's a very important section, very important topic under leaves. So the next video in the series will be looking at compound leaves. On hopes that this video was quite useful and you people liked it. If you liked it, please share, like, and subscribe to our channel. And so, thanks for watching.